Hey guys, hope you're well. So in today's video, I'm finally going to break down how I color grade my footage. And I'm going to show you guys how I get this filmic look that you've probably been seeing in all of my recent videos and probably in all of my recent client work as well. I'm going to be walking you through my approach and how I use the tools that's available to you in DaVinci Resolve. So let's dive in. So first things first, let's apply the power grade onto this clip. And I'm going to break down everything into sections for you. So the first section I have is this CST compound node here, and also this highlights node here. We'll go through the CST first, so opening that up. And here I just have like a balancing node because initially this look is quite green. So I have this balancing node to just turn the temperature and even the tint a little bit lower. But this pre-CST essentially just turns my log footage, so Sony S-Log, into DaVinci Wide Gamut. Now going back to the highlights node, in most cases you should be able to leave this alone unless your highlights are really high. So what I can suggest is bringing this down to -50 or sometimes even lower. But what I have found is that going to like -60, 70, even to -100, the image looks a little bit off and the highlight kind of like roll off isn't as smooth. So that's why I'd suggest -50 be the lowest kind of you go. Section 2 here is the main bit where it's the exposure, white balance, and saturation. And this is where typically I'd start my grade. And a lot of the time, I only really just touch these three nodes when I'm using this power grade. EXP is where I fix my exposure, and I normally just use the lift, gamma, gain wheels here and the offset as well. Saturation I tend to leave alone because I've dialed it in to have the right amount of saturation for most scenarios. If you do find that it's a little bit too much or you don't have enough saturation, just drag this point up and down. So for this white balance node, I have set the gamma to this to linear. Because of this, I actually use the gain wheel to do the white balancing instead of the sliders. Obviously you want to get the white balance right in camera, but if it still needs adjusting in post, I always use this method right here. One tip I can say is that it can be a little bit daunting that you're not using just one set slider to adjust your white balance. It may be easier to use a slider, but using this method gives you a little bit more control in terms of the color. Don't be scared to literally just take that point and drag it in any way you want, because what you can do is, even if it's a little bit too far, at least try to find the kind of like correct white balance for you and then bring it down closer to the middle so it's not as intense. For most cases, I'm generally happy with the look once I've done the exposure and white balance. I've maybe adjusted the highlights as well. But let me just explain to you guys the other sections in this power grade. The next section I have is the masking out and in. Essentially, I've put it like this because mask out I tend to do when I'm masking something outside of the subject. So for example, if I'm filming myself right now, I'm the subject and I want to mask myself so I can color grade or lower the exposure of my background without affecting myself. And then mask in is the opposite of that. So if I want to adjust the subject, so making the subject brighter, for example, so I would mask myself, do the adjustments without affecting the background. So I just have those two separated essentially. So the next section is contrast and logs. I'm going to start with logs as I just normally have this dialed in to adjust the exposure a little bit. I have this a little bit lower. You can turn this off if you want because a lot of the time I am overexposing anyway. So if you do find that this is making your footage too dark after applying this power grade, just turn it off. And then contrast, I have two nodes here. One's turned off, which is using the typical contrast slider. And the other contrast node I have is using the curves. I have a slight S curve here. In most cases, it should be like pre-dialed in. But again, if you find this is too much contrast or too little contrast, switch between the two contrast nodes and see which one you prefer using. Yeah, I've left it this way just to keep kind of like options open for you when you're doing your adjustments. And the next section is a few things, and it's built with a few compound nodes. So there's the look, halation, SGG just means sharpness, grain, and glow. And finally, the film. A lot of the time you shouldn't need to touch this because this is the general filmic look for this power grade, but you can choose to play around with it if you want to, and you can do that in the look node. The only thing I'll suggest to have a look at is the SGG node because there is in here sharpness, grain, and glow. If you find the grain a bit too much, turn this down. Sharpness is always off because I do prefer a softer look for all my footage. And the film compound node is very simple. It's literally in here the CST, and after that is the film LUT. So in the CST section, it's just changing your footage from DaVinci Wide Gamut to Cineon Film Log. And after that is the film LUT, which is just a lot available in DaVinci Resolve already, which is the Rec 709 Kodak 2383. I have it to the neutral one, which is the 60. And finally, for the last section, I have the final adjustments, vignette, and just a node to make things a little bit warmer if they're a little bit too cold. You can just turn this on and off to see if you want it or not. You shouldn't need to adjust it. Vignette, I do like to add a vignette to most of my footage. And that's it for this power grade breakdown. Honestly, I think the result gives quite a cinematic, nostalgic look. It's got a little bit of glow and it's enhanced, especially if you use like a Cinebloom on your lens. And I use this power grade across any of my projects, whether it be personal, so like my vlogs, and even client work as well. I've also made this power grade into LUTs, so you can use this on top of Rec 709 footage on any editing software. If you're filming in Log and you use Premiere Pro or Final Cut, all you have to do is convert your footage first into Rec 709. Don't do any adjustments yet, and then put this LUT on top, the Film Look or the Kanin Look, which is just a more stylistic Rec 709 look. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching. This is a super short breakdown. I hope you guys enjoy using this power grid if you do purchase it. And if you have any feedback, let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next video, which will probably be a vlog. Love.